Hello, this is my commentated submission for Rayman Legends any percent for AGDQ 2018. Sorry about that. Basically, this is just a really cool 2D platformer run. Um, it's, less than an hour and a half in terms of length, and it's honestly really cool to watch, and I'm going to try to explain everything that I can during this. So, without further ado, let's just get started. So this is the very beginning of the run here. Right here I pause and exit level because it's faster than waking up the heroes manually. And as you can see, the first big difference with this run right here is that it's being done on the PS4 version of the game, which completely removes all loading screens and shaves off, I think 8 or 9 minutes, probably 10 even, from the regular run. So this is the first level. As you can see, we already have some standard movement tech that we'll be seeing throughout the run, which is spinning, spin jumping, roll jumping. That's a YBY right there. And the entire point of this run is to just, as you can see, really going fast in every level, chaining all these movement links together, or not movement links, like these movement techniques together to, just make a really free-flowing kind of way to go fast in this game. So the first level is a Murphy level, which requires me to press the triangle button at some points. However, I remapped my triangle button to L2, which is the controls that I use on PC, because it just allows for way better control of Murphy since I don't have to claw grip. And as you can see, I didn't even have that much time to explain what happened there, but that's level 1 of Rayman Legends 80%, and as you can see, it was already pretty cool. So as you can see, no loading screens, only like a 1 second of black screen during exiting from levels, and when I enter levels, it's going to be rather instantaneous. Um, this run is a 124.44, and I think it's if I'm not mistaken, it's the fastest real-time run. It's not the fastest without loads, um, but it's the fastest run in real time because it's done on the PS4 version. I have a better PB on the PC version because PC has an advantage that I'll point out later, but this is the best PB that I have on console, and console for marathon's sake is way better. Or the PS4 version in this case is way better because there's only 38 seconds of loading screens throughout the entire game, and it's just a way better watch. There's way less downtime. So as you can see, I'm just going through the level extremely quickly, getting all the teensies that I need, and I guess it's time to explain the teensies. So in every level, or in every main level rather, there are these big nose blue guys, which are the teensies, common recurring character in the Rayman franchise, and the objective of this game, unlike Rayman Origins, is not to, get to the end. It's simply to get the amount of TCs necessary to unlock the final boss. And in order to unlock the final boss, you need 260 of these guys. And in every level there's 10, 8 are on the main path, and the other 2 are the King and Queen, which are in bonus rooms, in which you normally have to complete a task or defeat a certain amount of enemies to free them. Much like the cage elections in Rayman Origins, 130 elections if you've ever watched that run. Water break, sorry. So, this first text box right here that tells you to check out Toad's story, there's no way to avoid it as far as I know. So, you just kind of have to press the button and then move on. So here's the third level, Enchanted Forest. This is actually one of the fastest main levels, and it really just shows you how quickly you can get 18 Cs and then just, finish the level with the kind of movement tech that I'm pulling off here. And there's a lot of subtle stuff that you're not really seeing right now. Is that one of them is I often use my helicopter here to cancel things, like right there, or when I'm pulling turnips out of the ground. Often when I want to kick right there also. When I want to kick in midair and I want to kick to end just slightly earlier, I'll do that. Here I can hit that cage for the floor because the ground pound hitbox is really, really ridiculous in this game. And you'll see why in a lot of other applications of that ground pound hitbox later in the game. That's the third level. As you can see, I got to the end before all the teensies even got tallied up on the top right of the screen on the like gold plate thing. So that's 24 teensies. Now we're moving on to the second Murphy level, and this one is one of the few levels in which we will be getting all 10 teensies, because they're just really fast to get. Normally in every other level we usually don't get all 10, we usually only get either 8 or 9, and that's usually because one of the two bonus streams is very fast to get. So, another thing you'll notice, I'm kicking in midair. Kicking in this game, unlike Rayman Origins, does not kill your momentum. It allows you to keep your speed, and it freezes you, like, horizontally in the air for a moment. Or not horizontally, it freezes you vertically, so you don't lose any height when you're kicking. And you can use that to cross a lot of gaps, or not, yeah, some gaps you can cross with that, but it's mainly just for better positioning. A lot of the movement that I'm doing here, it may not look like much, but a lot of it is, like, precisely spaced out so that I end up doing the exact movement that I want and doing all the jumps and stuff to get through the level as optimally as possible. There was some small bit of movement slop. I went a bit early on that log there. Here I don't have to cut these ropes with Murphy. I can literally just spin in and kick off. As you can see, the kick prevented me from falling down for a brief moment there. And you're going to see that a lot. Do I go for the strat in this run? No, I don't. Okay. So, another thing that you saw right there is wall jumping. When I hold down and jump after landing from a spin jump, it gives me way more height, and that'll be useful in a couple places, particularly there where I can grab the chain without falling on the spikes. So we've already gotten the two, I guess, secret teensies in this level. Now we just need to get to the end, and right there, another instance of a roll jump, and then a kick to get above the guy. Here, small little time saver. I can grab that ledge of that log and get up there a little bit faster. It's faster than cutting the rope and going all the way around, though it is a bit of a finicky jump. And there we go, that's the end of the level. One of the things that that will be important later is that, unlike the PC version of this game, because there are no loading screens, there are no ways for me to get hearts before levels start. So some damage boosts at the start of some stages are not going to be possible on this version, but that's not too big of a deal, it's only like a few seconds. The real big time loss from console to PC is the lucky tickets, which will only come into play at the very end of the run. Or not the very end, but like near the end, more or less. Here, ground pounding there to get a little bit of speed into this next section is tricky because there's a chance of you pulling up the turnip. This is going to be the first level in which I am deliberately watching my lum count. Lums are these little yellow fairy things that I'm collecting. And what lums do is basically, they're not the currency. If you played a Rayman game, you should know what lums are. They're basically the coins. And once I have 450 lums in this stage, I will get the ability to, or not get the ability, I will get a lucky ticket. And lucky tickets are actually important for a very, very good reason. And I'll explain later why, but basically for this entire run, I need exactly 10 lucky tickets, and this is going to be my first one. So it may look like I'm wasting time by getting all the lums. It doesn't matter since this level is an auto-scroller, so it's, you know, the perfect opportunity to get lums while you're going along, because otherwise in every other level you would waste time by getting lumps, but here it doesn't matter. So I'm just carefully watching my lum count. spacing out my jumps. And even though I'm collecting lums, I'm still trying to get to the end of the auto-scroller as fast as possible. Because, this part is not an auto-scroller. So right here, it's the end of the level. That's the last TNC right there. It's gonna give me another 25. And there we go. That's the first lucky ticket. You'll see it. You'll see me get it in a moment here. Bronze, silver, lucky ticket. There it is. That's the first one of 10. And, yeah. Now we're coming up on the last main level of World 1, which is How to Shoot Your Dragon. A very clever name. Right there I grabbed that heart for safety. Usually I would not grab it, but I did anyway there. Just for the sake of it. This level was one of my favorites. It has a lot of cool Murphy tech to it. You can't see the input display that or you can't see what my inputs are during these levels, but it is a lot more complicated than it looks, especially with managing Murphy. Like that platform that just rotated, you have to hold L1 or R1 to do that, and it sort of requires a semi-claw grip, but not really. But, you know, whatever. This is another stage where I'm gonna get 450 lums. So, that's why I grabbed that skull coin right there. You probably wonder, like, wow, you're wasting time. In any other level, except for the 10 specific ones where you need to get the tickets, or where the tickets are pretty much free / unavoidable, I'm gonna be avoiding getting lums because, as you saw, at the end of the stage, there's a lum tally screen that counts how many you have. And obviously, the more you have, you waste time. Usually it's not more than a couple frames, but like I think it's, 1 second every 100 lums you get. I'm not sure on that math. I'll need to check up on it later, but it's basically that. And this is on the first level where I'm getting 9 TNCs, as you saw there, just because the queen in particular was very fast. The king not very much so. The king is always the second TNC, with the second bonus one. So, right here, I don't have to cut these ropes, I can just ground pound and spin jump off of them. Getting the TNCs on the way. Murphy is pretty much useless here, you don't need him that often. So this is the final part of the stage, where I'm gonna get the 450 lums. What I'm doing here with my kicks is that every time I kick in the air, I want to cancel it as soon as possible. And how I do that is by kicking and then immediately hovering. And that just, you know, cancels me out of the kick animation faster than it can complete. And you'll see that in a couple levels later, that's actually going to be very useful because some boss fights are fought with that boxing glove, the boxing glove that you shoot by attacking. They're fought in the air, and you can just infinitely do that, and you shoot the boxing gloves a lot faster. So now, we're moving on to the boss of World 1, which is the dragon. Also, I forgot to mention something. Since this boss, there's nothing really much going on. I'll explain how the basic structure of unlocking levels in this game works. Basically, there I kill myself, first intentional death to speed up this checkpoint. So, what I was gonna say, in order to beat the game, to, you know, complete any percent, we need to get to the credits. And getting to the credits, you need to beat all 5 bosses, all the bosses of the 5 main worlds. It does not have to be in order. You don't have to beat them like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can do them in any order. But just for the sake of any percent, because it's faster to do so, we do them in order. But yeah, you just have to beat the 5 bosses. Every boss has a specific TNC check that you need to reach before you can reach the boss. Because there's a level usually before the boss that you have to beat before you even get to it. And this level before the boss is usually the one that has the TNC check on it. And the level before the final boss, which is World 5, Level 6, which is Hell Breaks Loose, has a teensy lock of 260, and that's why we need 260. The other ones are far less than 260, but they do start ramping up eventually. So this boss is pretty much an auto-scroller. You just stand still, avoid his attacks, and, you know, just do nothing pretty much. So this is the one of the good times to, I guess, read donations or talk about something unrelated, because this is downtime when nothing happens, pretty much. And every boss pretty much is like this. It's a waiting game. So for every boss fight at the end of every world, you might as well just, you know, zone out for like a couple minutes, because nothing really interesting happens. The only strat with this boss is that I need to keep my heart here. I didn't lose my heart there. And the reason for that is because when I finish this level with a heart, it's going to give me 5 lums. And that's going to put me at exactly 100. And that's actually important, because getting exactly 100 is the requirement for the gold cup. And getting the gold cup exactly is faster than getting 95. See, my animation for the, you know, dancing thing stopped like half a second earlier when I got exactly 100. If I had gotten 95, it would have taken a little bit longer. I don't know why it does that, it just does. So now I'm opening my briefcase, which has warps to convenient places in the game. So I immediately warped to World 2, and now we're starting with 2-1, Ray and the Beanstalk. So World 2 introduces the gimmick of wind, and as you can see, wind makes you very floaty. Ooh, nice. Okay, so that was a slope boost. As you can see, getting momentum off of sliding off downward slopes is, much like Sonic, is a very, very good thing to have. I don't know. So, you know, just getting all the teensies here, more slope momentum. And wind is pretty much, there's no way to go higher or go vertically on wind any faster than just, you know, constantly helicoptering. So, yeah. There's a damage boost strat I could have done there if I had a heart, but that strat is unfortunately not possible in this version. Right there you saw I ground pounded that bumper from below and got launched upwards. And what actually happens is, Rayman's, when you hit ground pound of Rayman, his hitbox extends upwards for some reason, and you can hit things from below with that. And it may not sound like much, but it's actually pretty important in some places in the game where you might just have barely enough height to reach a bumper, and that ground pound just saves your life. Or sometimes you just barely get under a platform, and because the ground pound slightly elevates you a bit, you can get onto the platform. You'll see that in later cases. Ground pounding bumpers from above gives you more height than just normally bouncing on them, like this. It also gives you more speed, but when you ground pound them from below, it somehow gives you even more height and even more speed. Sometimes that's beneficial, sometimes it's not. It depends on the bumper. So this is the second Murphy level, and this is, or not second Murphy level, excuse me, this is another Murphy level. And this is another level where I'm gonna get all 10 teensies, because the King and Queen are both very fast. As you can see here, this is a Queen. There you go, bonus room done in 2 seconds. And the teensy routing for this game has actually changed a lot since 2013 when it was originally being routed. Right now we have what I think is the current best possible route. And I'll get into route differences later. Because pretty much every normal level that is fast enough, because since this is pretty much just the same, you know, crazy movement you've been seeing all so far. Oh wait, no, never mind. This is a break boost. What I did right there is I went right up to that bone wall, and I let my analog stick neutral, then spun and let my analog stick neutral again. And what that did is it basically gives Rayman negative deceleration and propels you forward at some really absurd speeds. And there are a few spots in the game where that's useful. So there you saw more examples of, you know, ground pounding things from below. Here's clever use of Murphy. You know, just getting all the team T's in the way. And what we use to determine for routing the bonus room team T's is not only just, you know, how much time you spend in the bonus room to get the bonus team C, but also how much time it takes for you to deviate from the main path to get there, and also how much time it takes to get back. So, you know, entering and leaving the bonus room is also taken into account. So now we have 72 teensies, and we're going to Castle in the Clouds. This is the level where pretty heavy use of wind physics right here, as you see. A small jump pretty much propels me for that entire part. Here I'm just getting momentum off of the slopes. Unfortunately, the top hair of Rayman's head clipped that ledge, so I lost all my speed, unfortunately. This is another level where the king is really fast, so I'm gonna be getting 19 Cs here instead of 8. If I space my jump out right there, I don't jump on the guy, don't bounce on that guy. Getting this teensy and ground pounding is an intentional death because it puts me back up there faster. That's the second of the 3 intentional deaths that you'll be seeing in this run. And it's just to get to other checkpoints faster. I could have made this cycle with the sliding crushing walls, but I ultimately didn't. It's just a little bit, you know, a few seconds faster or something. This is the king. It's pretty much over in like a second, as you saw there. So that's why it's very worth it to get this guy. So that TNC right there can be annoying. There are different cycles that he can be in. And the thing about these, you know, rock platforms that shift back and forth is that I don't know if it's in this level also, but in another level, the cycle for every single one of these that is moving back and forth throughout the level is completely random and independent from each other. So when you play through a level, you can get completely different cycles for no reason, or you can get the same thing, or you can get, you know, horrible cycles. It's completely random, and it's one of the very, very few elements of randomness in this game to where it actually negatively affects the speedrun. One slight amount of randomness is in the lucky tickets too, but it doesn't affect the run at all, thankfully, because of something I'll explain later. So here's altitude quickness, another Murphy level. This is a Murphy level that's pretty much just about verticality. You're going up with these wind shafts. And the thing about doing the wind parts fast is literally just hold X and never let go. Never stop hovering. Because stopping hovering, or, you know, stopping your hover in this game is really, really bad. So from this point onwards, you're pretty much just going up. And here's a couple interesting bumper strats. Instead of going for that tube, we can just ground pound that thing to get here a little bit faster. Skip that bumper right there. Don't even have to activate the guy. I mean, I did, but it's mostly just for safety. You only have to move the platform across. Here is a strat that I don't remember if I did in this run. Nope, I didn't. So there's a strat you can do there by ground pounding in that seam in the vine and spinning and jumping. You can skip having to glide across with the guy there, but it's kind of risky if you don't have a heart. Thankfully I did, but I don't know why I didn't go for it in this run in particular. Usually I go for it, but whatever. So, you know, run's done. Or, the run's not done, the run is far from over. There's only an hour left. Oh, Christ. This file is gonna take up so much space on my computer, but I don't particularly care. So, this is the last main level of World 2. It's called When Toads Fly. And right here, this is the level that I absolutely despise the most, because it's entirely wind, the platform cycles are completely independent, and guess what? you don't have a heart, and these toads shoot fire. And in this game, if you don't have a heart, one hit and you're dead. So it can be very, very annoying to get completely like aimbotted by one of these toads. Or even worse, crushed by one of these platforms right here. As you can see, I got a crappy cycle there. Usually, you can spin right through and just pretty much swoosh right through that part and get the cage. But unfortunately, that was not the case. Right there, I ground pound that toad to give me more height. And then right here is another break boost to completely skip this section with the toads. And that's one of the shortest levels for the 18C run in any or for the 18C routes in any percent, but it's deceptively harder than it looks, mainly because, again, the frogs that can shoot you, the platform cycles that are really annoying to deal with. What else? Alright, Armored Toad. This is the World 2 boss, and he's actually one of the more dangerous bosses because it's kind of, I wouldn't say it's easy, but there's a risk that you can die to him, and if you do, yeah, your run is over. You lose like, I think a minute or something, depending on where you die. So this is the Armored Toad, it's the World 2 boss, and as you can see, what I was talking about earlier, with canceling my kicks in the air with my hovers, see, I hit him a lot faster than I would normally. This part with the missiles is the one that you're likely to get hit in, because these red missiles are homing. As you can see, they home into you. And depending on where you are, or what you're doing with your punch missiles, you can very, very easily get tagged by one of those. And because of the ridiculous knockback, it can sometimes kill you, and, you know, that's pretty much over your run right there. Right here, as soon as Armored Toad hits the castle, I restart the checkpoint to get me right next to this guy that I need to punch. So that's the second boss, and that's World 2. Alright, so now you'd be expecting, let's go to World 3, right? Well, no, because it's way faster to do things out of order in this game, because the game thankfully lets you do things out of order, unlike Rayman Legends, where it's a strict level-to-level thing. Here you can go in any kind of manner you want. So because I have 100 teensies exactly, we route it out, so when you have 100 teensies and completed that level, this invasion unlocks, so it conveniently unlocks right after Armored Toad. And the invasion levels in this game, as you can see, are pretty much time trials, where you have 40 seconds to reach the end. And if you beat any of these invasions in less than 40 seconds, you get free teensies. And since, you know, I'm a speedrunner, I'm usually pretty good about being able to finish these things fast. So, literally, every invasion is free teensies for less than a minute's worth of, you know, gameplay, which is really good, but we're not going to be doing all the invasions that are available to us in this run, but we're going to be doing the vast majority of them. This is, here I warp back to the main gallery instead of to any warp in the suitcase, and I'm going to World 5, which is the last world normally, which is Olympus Maximus. And it's basically because, due to how the teensy locks are set up, we would not have enough teensies to unlock everything in World 4 by the time we got there. The old route, we would pretty much, have to do World 4 in 2 visits regardless of what happened. But now with this new route, we do World 5 free and then leave World 4 last. And because of how many teensies we have at that point, we can do World 4 in 1 visit now. So this is shields up and down. It's one of my favorite levels to do fast, but it's also the bane of my existence because it's very, very easy to die here. Specifically with these shield boosts. Right here, you hop on the shield, move it with Murphy, and as you can see, you go flying. And this is a lot harder than it looks. This level is probably in the top 5 of the hardest levels to do optimally in 80%, honestly. Only ones in World 3 even come close to, you know, being this nerve-wracking. Thankfully, because we do World 5 right after World 2, this level used to be one of the big reset points for me. And before this new route, we did it like, I think 50 minutes into the run, and that was like only half an hour left, and if you were on a good run by then, this level could very easily ruin your day. So that was just, bad news. But we thankfully somehow figured out that World 5 first is faster, and so this level first is faster. So if you happen to mess up here, it's only a third of the way through the run, so it's not that big of a deal, depending on where you die. But yeah, it's just, it's a big relief that 5-1 is faster now. So now we're moving on to 5-2. Despite being in the last world, levels 2, 3, and 5 in World 5 are probably some of the most chill levels to do in this run, honestly. Maybe it's because they're, so comparatively easy when compared to a bunch of other levels in this run, which are really annoying. I don't know, I just have fun doing these couple of levels in the run. Though this run does have a death on 5-5, which is kind of embarrassing, but whatever. So I grabbed that heart from that turnip just so I could do this damage boost right here and get that teensy a little bit early. Normally you would have to wall run around the room and like fall onto it, but if you just ground pound that horde, it boosts you up to the teensy. Oh, and every bonus room does give you a heart when you finish it. Here's the only strat I found in this game. It's ground pounding that third bongo just to skip having to activate these mushrooms for this horde right here. That's literally my only contribution to this run, but it saves, I think, 5 or 7 seconds compared to the old way. Again, canceling my kicks with the turnips with my helicopter here as always. Instead of wall running, I can just drop through this pit and helicopter through it. That's going to be quite a recurring theme in this run, by the way. Instead of wall running down the, descending shafts or whatever, you can just drop through. Although it is a lot riskier, but it's a lot faster and extremely cool when you pull it off. Did I get the strat? Yeah, I did. Okay. So if I ground pound the very right edge of that bongo, I can just roll jump through those saw blades without getting hit. And this is just the end of the level. Here I can hold up, and I will enter this door on the very first frame. Since you can buffer inputs in this game, and that's one of the cases where you can do that. If you just hold up while you're ground pounding, then you'll enter the door as soon as possible. The next level is the Amazing Maze. Again, another very clever level name. But this level is pretty cool because it's pretty much just single screen puzzles. And here is the first sequence break. We're going to be jumping off that first teensy cage to get up to this room a little bit early. Normally you would have to go up and left to reach that room, but you can just do that. Instead, it skips a few screens. So, there's the king already. Now there is no distinction between bonus rooms and regular teensies in this level, since it's all just, one big grid. So you can just move through it very quickly, getting all the teensies. So this is, again, another level where we obviously get all 10. Here I roll jump in order to get into this top screen before the thing hits me. Here I roll jump and ground pound on the specific panel, even though the screen is upside down. It's just, faster to have a good setup for that. Don't get hit here. Don't get hit by this eel either. Get that teensy. As you can see, I ground pound, but I still get the teensy because my hitbox hits it. There's another strat, ground pounding on a shield and wall jumping off the wall to skip the top 2 shields. And now we're on to the escape of the Amazing Maze, which is pretty much the tail end of the level. The level's already over pretty much. That's how fast a lot of these World 5 levels can get. Especially the last one, and you'll see what I'm talking about later. Ground pound those enemies to get there a little bit faster. tried to do there is I tried to spin jump off of the top of that thing instead of going below, but it's really difficult to do for some reason. Alright, so... Sorry. So that's the third level. We're gonna skip this fourth level in World 5 right here simply because it's way too long. And that's actually gonna be one of the few main levels that we actually skip because they're too long. Or because there's like better alternatives. Here I almost died because I didn't grab that ring, but thankfully I somehow backed it up. Here's a strat. Oh wait, no, this run doesn't do it, but there's a strat where you can jump over that horde without having to wait for it to go left. But yeah, that level, which is Great Lava Pursuit, we skip it because it's just straight up too long. There's a lot of other, better levels for it. Here I can ground pound for a small part of this horde without getting hit. Roll jump over this Minotaur instead of killing him. Again, roll jump right there to avoid that wall jump. Not running on the ceiling. This part is kind of annoying. But... oh, I almost died here. Oh no, wait, this is where I actually died. Yeah, right. I unfortunately hit the top of that fire snake thing after losing my heart. So that's the first of 2 deaths in this run. Like I said, this run is not my PB, so it's not deathless. But deaths in this game, as you saw there, don't cost very much time. Or, I guess, if you look at it in an unbiased manner, I guess they don't cost much time. But when you're running against the PB, it's really difficult to recover from that mistake. Right there, I tried to do a break boost, didn't end up working out. So I just had to, do the regular strat, which is a lot slower. When you get the break boost, that room ends about, like, I don't know, 8 seconds earlier than that, or probably more, so I'm not good with numbers, so don't quote me on that. So now we're gonna go to World 3. That's right, we finished the last world and we're going to World 3 next. World 4 is gonna be done last, obviously. First level of World 3, again, completely ignored. Too long, so, I just skip straight over to World 2. Or to level 2, rather. So, World 3 is, the, I guess, Hispanic world. There's a lot of, stuff about Mexico, or not in this level in particular because it's food themed, but it's got a very Dia de los Muertos vibe to it, and I really like that. It's one of my favorite worlds in terms of just aesthetic. The enemies are obviously, like skeletons wearing top hats and playing, instruments and stuff. Right there is a boost that I did off that Teensy Cage. For some reason, if you attack twice when you break that, you just get sent flying. Here, another very fast king that's worth getting. The queen in this level is very out of the way, and she's also pretty slow, so we don't get her. Here I can skip most of this upward ascent part, or upward ascent of course, but just by ground pounding that thing. Do I get this strat here? I don't remember. Let's see. This is a relatively new strat. Nope, I don't get it. So, there's a strat where you can get damage through that knife and enter the watermelon from the right instead of from the top. And it's like a handful of seconds faster. And like right there, another ground pound from below to hit that bumper. And this game is full of stuff like that. It's full of tiny optimizations that they don't look very like much faster at all. It's only like, oh, it's only like a second or two at most, like what's the point? But these things add up a lot, and it's what ends up, separating the pros from the novices in this game. It's just how good your movement is, how good you are at those little tiny tricks that, just save fractions of seconds. My PC PB, which is a 123.55, I think. It does do quite a lot more of those strats, but that was before my PC. But this run was before my PC got fixed, so I didn't optimize it that much. So right here, this is the uh, duck level in World Free, and believe it or not, this is one of the more technical levels in World Free because the duck actually has tech. Basically, you're just walking right and getting as many lums as possible. Again, this is another level where I'm gonna get the lucky ticket. But the duck actually has tech, believe it or not, because a lot of these predetermined guacamole lines, they usually have slopes like this, pretty much. The tech with the duck is getting speed off slopes, like this one. Or that one I didn't get it, but, you know, every downward slope counts, and just keeping that speed going for as long as humanly possible is the key to these duck levels. And again, I'm getting, like, skull coins and lines of lums, just because, you know, I need 450. This is my favorite strat in this level. Roll jump, hit, guacamole, another roll jump, and then no ledge grab on that thing. I don't know why, I just find that really satisfying to do and to watch. Like, whenever I watch runs of this game, like, when people fail that strat, it legitimately saddens me. But, you know, enough about that. This is another level where, again, the king is fast. There used to be a very old route where we actually got 10 teensies in this level, but it's since been obsoleted. Thankfully, because that route was kind of annoying. Because it required getting more stuff than necessary in World 2 and other stuff. So, you know. Here is the ending part of this stage already. And again, another thing, you know, keeping momentum with the duck from bumpers and stuff. That might not have looked like it, but I was actually moving faster than normal, right there, because the duck was slightly sliding forward. But, you know, whatever. So that's the duck level, and up next is level 4. 4? Oh, wait, yeah, 4. Oh, not 4, this isn't World 4. It's 3-4, and this level is horrendous. It's known as the ender of runs for me, especially on this version, since I don't get a heart and I don't have a safety net for this very trick right here. I line the tip of Rayman's foot with like a pebble on the ground, and that somehow lets me do that hole in one. Again, I take the turnip to get the heart, and then do a roll jump to skip, having to run all the way around. Right there's a faster way to do that room. But what I did there is just the very baby strat way of doing it, which is deliberately ground pound the spikes so that the damage recoil sends you further up. Because it's actually very easy to get comboed in this game, since not all damage recoil sends you flying up, sometimes it sends you flying to the left or to the right. And in that room in particular, since it's filled with spikes, you can get, like, hit 5 times at once by, like, everything, and because of that, you die. And so it's just very annoying. This is also not the first instance of Tiny Rayman, but because Tiny Rayman can't, you know, spin, you rely a lot on his, I guess, charge forward attack to give you a little bit of momentum, and also slopes, pretty much kind of like the duck, but Tiny Rayman still has most of regular Rayman's movement options. Here is one of the very few things that was actually patched in the PS4 version, which came out later. In the PC version, if you dropped through the right corner of that Earthworm Jim style spike pit, you would actually skip that cutscene of the guy like squeezing her nose or something. But I don't know why, but they extended the cutscene trigger to make that not possible in this version. And it's really strange, since it only saves like, what, 2 seconds? It's really weird that they would change something like that. But yeah, that was one of the very few things that was actually patched, quote unquote, for this version. Because the original game came out in 2013, and this version came out, I think, 2015, the next gen versions. I can't quite remember if it was a year later or 2015 or something, I don't know. But this version came out later, obviously. And obviously there's a version coming to the Nintendo Switch as well. And here, normally we would not do this invasion in the old route, but now we do it right now just to get it out of the way. This invasion is really annoying. It's pretty much just fire and lava everywhere. These two guys in particular are really annoying to deal with. You know, the floor is lava, you can't really fall. But, you know, every invasion, you're pretty much very easily going to cut the 40 seconds needed for the teensies. So in no invasion at all am I ever worrying about not making the time. In invasions, you're more worried about getting a good time. So like a 32 there is not that great. A mid 30 would be better. So you know, you just gotta get good. This is one of the few parts where it's actually a lot slower on PS4 compared to PC. Because PC has a heart, it can just get this teensy and damage boost off this lava that's flowing down. But, you know, unfortunately PS4 doesn't have that kind of privilege, so it just has to mosey on along. And now we're getting chased by the giant luchador. And you would normally expect me to go as fast as possible in this chase. But in some parts I am deliberately stopping and slowing down. Because if I go too fast, the game will soft lock, and I'm not kidding about that. If I go too fast and the luchador stays off screen, or not if he stays off screen, if he gets off screen enough, he will straight up despawn and I will not be able to finish the level. It can't be fixed by resetting the checkpoint, but you lose a fair amount of time if that happens. So, you know, my threshold for when to stop and slow down is if I can still hear him. If I can hear him, that means I can go ahead. If I've stopped hearing him, then that means, you know, you're kind of screwed. You need to slow down and wait. But thankfully he didn't soft lock there. And then I drown him in lava, or I guess hot chili. And then he does the Terminator thumbs up, classic reference. But some people say that he's doing a middle finger, but honestly, I don't think he is. Is the audio level good? Yeah, I think it is. Okay, sure. Yeah, let's just pretend that's how it works. So, sorry about that, I just had to check if the audio level was fine. So, now we're going to the World Free Boss, and this is pretty much the halftime show. Or, what? Oh, I guess there was no cutscene audio there. Weird. So, this is just dodging his attacks, getting all the teensies that I need, you know, just very standard shtick. There's really nothing to speed up this fight at all. And because, getting 75 lums in a boss fight gives you the lucky ticket, not getting the ticket here is actually impossible since we do get all 3 teensies. So, you know, this is one of the few, well, not one of the few, one of the handful of levels where straight up avoiding getting the ticket is completely impossible because the amount of teensies you get automatically gives you enough lums for the ticket. So like 5 out of the 10 ticket levels in this game, or in this run, are pretty much free. You just do the regular 80% route and you get them automatically. The other ones you actually have to kind of route out your lum collection. Kind of like Rayman Origins. Except unlike Rayman Origins, you don't have to do that for every level in this game. Okay. He laughs a lot. He likes to chuckle about things. So, here we go. Second phase done. Alright. I think the audio could be a little bit more... I don't know. I honestly don't have... honestly have no clue. Well, I should stay that way. So here's just dodging all the fireballs and this, you know, vertical wind part. I'm deliberately not killing all those enemies because, again, the more lums I have that I don't need, I'm going to avoid. I do have 80 instead of the 75 that I needed for the ticket, and if I did have exactly 75, I would get like a half-second faster animation at the lum tally at the end. My more recent runs do that instead of killing that skeleton, but again, this PB might be slightly outdated in terms of strats that I used to do, but I'm only commentating over this and not my PC PB, just so you guys don't have to suffer through a lot of loading screens when watching this. So, you know. There we go. So that's the other one. Or not the other one, that's the World Free Boss. Now I have 174. And now we're going to World 4, which is the water world. And believe it or not, there's very little water here. Well, not there's very little water, but most of it is not, you know, like friggin' World Free in most Mario games, right, where it's annoying, boring water levels. The water tech, there's actually movement underwater. And this is one of the few levels where we actually spend the time completely underwater. When you spin underwater, there's like a 1 second recharge, or like a 0.75 second, that's what it feels like, time where you can spin again to get the most speed. You can spin immediately after one spin, but it's not going to give you any further speed. It's just going to, you know, twirl you around. And this world is entirely themed around spies and stealth. So as you can see, these green lights, if I stayed in them for too long, they're going to zap me. And I'm actually going to take advantage of that, because this level has another intentional death. I think one of... Is it free? Yeah, free intentional deaths. So right here, I grab this teensy, get killed. The game counts that teensy, but it puts me further to the exit. It puts me back at the beginning of that corridor where I got the teensy from. So you can see the game counted it, I have 8, end of the level. And that's pretty much it. That's the only level where I'm going to be spending most of my time underwater. The other levels in this world, thankfully, are not completely underwater. They're actually, you know, ground stages, which is very convenient because ground movement is a lot more interesting than water movement. So now we're on to 4-2, the Deadly Lights. Again, the gimmick here is that there's these green lights that can't see you, or that you can't get spotted by, otherwise you're gonna get killed. But the gimmick here is that Murphy controls the buttons that, you know, that can block the lights, like right there. I just have to press the button and Murphy blocks the light. And there's actually going to be a strat involving getting hit by a light later. This right here, I hit that guy so that I don't bounce from my ground pound, and I can roll jump and wall jump off of the thing to get onto the platform and get to the shaft a little bit faster. This is a new rev change. Normally we would not be doing this bonus room right now, but it is just faster to get free TNTs in a few random spots in World 4, or in World 4 I think, and World 3, than it is to do another invasion later on. So I grab a heart there because I'm going to need it for a damage boost right here. Don't need to press that button. I intentionally get zapped by the light there instead of having to wall jump and go for the light normally. Right here I don't have to worry about the light, I can just ground pound this guy, and there you go. World 4, Level 2 and Level 4 are some of my favorite levels to do fast, but unfortunately they're rather difficult to do fast. And the next level in particular can be a run-ender if you don't know what you're doing. So again, just turning off the lights, making my way through the stages, the screens, with as fast as movement as possible. Again, just checking my audio levels again for obvious reasons. Sorry about the gross water noise, but My throat has been very, very dry from talking for like almost an hour straight. So, now we're at Infiltration Station, and this is one of the top 5 hardest levels in the run for me. That right there, getting that cyclone while jumping off the thing, is a lot harder than it looks. It's one of the hardest things in this level, and it's deceptively tricky and it's right at the start. So the gimmick here is that Murphy doesn't block the lights by pressing buttons. He like carries a metal object around and puts it in front of the lamp. And literally pressing the button, all it does is it changes the direction in which he carries it. This is a strat, where instead of going to the right, I wall jump off the thing on the left. And that room is a lot harder than it looks. I've lost runs there, believe it or not, because the hitbox for the wall jumps is a lot trickier than it looks. Oh, okay. I didn't do a strat there in which I can roll while I'm going down that small crawl space, and it'll hit the frog from below, which you know, doesn't require me to go up there and ground pound him. It's a finicky strat, but sometimes it works, and other times it doesn't. Sometimes there's strats in this game that are pretty much just like that, where it's not RNG or luck or randomness or whatever you want to call it. It's just finicky. Sometimes things work and sometimes they don't. And I have no idea why. The game is just like that. So here we have yet another bonus room. This is why I have the heart. I can damage boost and get to that cage a little bit earlier. Because when you get zapped by the light, there's a few seconds where you can stay in the red zone without getting killed. If like another second had passed and I hadn't grabbed that cage, I would have gotten zapped again and died. So, you know, that's fun. This screen right here is absolutely horrendous. There's a damage boost that you can do to get right to the end here faster than normal. Do I go for it in this run? No, I don't. So yeah, there's a damage boost that you can do where you throw yourself into the light right about where that skull coin was, and you get to the door before the light zaps you a second time. But it's a lot harder than it sounds. It's a lot harder than it looks. And I don't know, it's one of those things where if you're going into that room nervous, you're probably gonna mess it up, and messing that up can very easily like put you into a death cycle. You just mess it up a lot of times, and you can lose like what 20-30 seconds there, and it's extremely horrible. Now we're going to the next stage of World 4, which is Elevator Ambush. And most of this level is an auto-scroller. Or not most of this level, 2 big chunks of this level are auto-scrollers, and you can't do much about it. Here I just drop through the lights instead of, you know, wall jumping through, because it's faster to drop through shafts in this game. And here, I'm gonna be on this elevator with a bunch of frogs on it, and the thing about it is, as you can see, I've climbed up the wall, and I'm gonna stay up there forever. I'm not gonna fight these frogs, because, one, they give me too many lums, and that's gonna waste a lot of time at the end of the level. So what I'm going to do, as you've probably already figured it out right now, right there, the frogs, as soon as they notice me, they're all going to fire their guns at the same time. And if I hadn't messed up there, every single frog would be down there, and as soon as they went down, they will all shoot each other, like right here. And when they shoot each other, they don't give any lums, because they just die. Because I didn't kill them, they killed themselves. So they don't give me any lums. So it's just, you know, better to do that. That guy that's throwing the electrical computer parts right here, like right there, there's a chance where he throws a rubber ducky. And the rubber ducky can actually be spun through. You won't get hurt by it, but the chance of the guy actually throwing the rubber ducky is a lot, like, smaller than you think. And it's completely random RNG stuff. There's no way to predict it, really. Right there, that was another, like, video skip, because the PS4 does have a really bad tendency of doing that. It just like data moshes everything for like a few seconds, and it completely cuts out some parts of footage. If you saw my Ratchet and Clank PS4 Ogle Bolts PB / submission, then you saw that there was a part where there was straight up just no video in Nebula G34. So right here I actually have to kill the frogs, I can't just, cheese it on top of the thing. One, because the elevator moves a lot faster, and two, because there are obviously killer lights on the side, so I can't stay in them for too long. And I have to kill those frogs before they shoot the guns, because unlike the fire projectiles, they shoot electricity, and the electricity balls can bounce off the walls and hit me. So that's just bad news. Getting hit by one of those straight bullets is not fun. Right there's a rubber ducky, as you saw. I completely kicked through it and didn't get hurt. Yeah, just getting hit by one of the straight bullets that these guys fire is kind of rare to occur, but it can happen. And when that happens, usually you get, like, I don't know, you get knocked back into something stupid, and that usually kills you. So it's really annoying. And losing your heart also isn't that good, especially in a part where there's a lot of enemies involved. So right here is the underwater part. I have to chase this guy again for the billionth time. So there he goes. There's really no risk of me getting killed or hurt by anything, since I obviously know the level layout beforehand. But a lot of these are very generously spaced out, so that even if you do somehow like go full speed, you won't bump into anything. So this is another level where I got like 500 lumps there just to get the lucky ticket, since I'm gonna need it. I think this is my 8th lucky ticket, right? After these 2 levels I'm gonna have the 10 that I need, for a reason that I'll explain later when we actually get to there. So this is the mini boss level before the actual boss. It's called There's Always a Bigger Fish, and there's a very good reason for that. There's the bigger fish, and I'm gonna be chased by this thing throughout the entire level. And despite what this looks like, I'm at kind of a set speed right now. I can't get eaten by the fish unless I deliberately turn back and face him. I just have to kind of dodge the obstacles in my way. I passed through that laser very briefly. Do I go for the strat? No, I don't. Oh, I do, right. That strat right there is kind of risky, because if you're like half a second too late or too early entering that laser, sometimes it can shoot you while you're swinging through it. Right there, I almost got hit by those missiles, which would have been bad news, because there's a damage boost I'm about to do in a bit that requires a heart. And it's a very do or die thing. If I get it, fine. If I don't get it, I get set back like 30 seconds and I lose a ton of time. So it's, it's the whole risk versus reward thing. This is the damage boost. It literally just prevents me from going around there and puts me in front of the guy I'm chasing. However, if I enter the laser at like a bad angle, that can kill me. And if I die there, well, it's half a minute lost, buddy, sorry. I almost got killed by the fish there, which would have been another 15 seconds, but thankfully I barely avoided it. Alright. So, we're moving on to the World 4 boss. And the World 4 boss is really annoying. Really, really annoying. Because there's this cycle at the start where you can get a cage early if your movement is perfect. I don't remember if I got it in this round. Let's see. Yeah, 2 spin jumps. Nice, I got it. So, I just barely got it. Basically, you hit that cage as it's going up, and before it goes down, and like, because it's constantly bobbing up and down, when you first reach that point, regardless of how much time you took, the cage is always going to be going up, but it's also going to be on its way down, so you need to be very fast to shoot it with your fist before it goes out of reach. And it's like 3 to 4 seconds for you to wait for the cage again so you can get it, but you know, every second counts in this run, and a run as optimized as this, every second counts. Or every, like, you know, frame saver or whatever. It's all pretty important in the long run. So, that's the first phase of the boss. He just shoots like his big laser at you, and you have to shoot him in his mouth gem. I don't know, I don't get it either. The bosses for this game are... The story in this game is pretty much non-existent, so much that, I think Michel Ancel, which is the creator of Rayman, compared this game to, like, porn. He said, like, oh, the story in Rayman is like story in a porno. It's like, you're just there for the action. You don't really need to know why the plumber went there in the first place. Which is a pretty tongue-in-cheek way of describing it. I mean, not tongue-in-cheek, that's a very kind of vulgar way of saying it, but, you know, it's pretty much true. Nobody ever plays this game for the story anyway. That's the last team seed, and we're moving on to the third phase. I think I might actually have to check if Michel Ancel said that. I don't remember if he actually did. So I might just be saying something completely erroneous here. But yeah, this is just him firing his laser at you, you dodging, and then waiting for him to open up his thing. And here I just stand on this rope and throw punches constantly to hit him as soon as possible. There you go. Yeah, dude, I totally found the source for that interview where he actually said Rayman Legends is a bit like a porno. That's incredibly... That's just, you know, incredible. So, whatever. So, okay. Now we're moving on to the 10 lucky tickets. We're gonna scratch them. And the thing about the lucky tickets is that the rewards you get from them are the same, but the order you get them in is random, except for the 5th and 10th lucky ticket. You're always gonna get the same thing from them. And the same thing is a Back to Origins level, which is levels from Rayman Origins that were actually included in this game. They were remade. Right there, Back to Origins. You just want a painting, and that's Geyser Blast. And the 10th one is Best Original Score from World 2 of Rayman Origins. So these levels are very, very fast to get teensies in. And it's just, you know, a very good thing to even have them. We got very lucky when this game came out that the lucky ticket rewards were not random. Because if they were, this run would probably be very different than what it is now. But as you can see, Best Original Score, I immediately warped to it. And we're going to do these 2 Origins levels back to back because they're very, very fast. They give us 9 teensies apiece. So like 18 teensies for like, what, 4 or 5 minutes of gameplay? For these levels in particular, that's like a really good trade-off. And compared to the 3 levels that we skipped, which are the first level in World 3, the third level in World 4, and the 4th level in World 5, these are actually much faster than any of those. So this is actually one of my favorite levels to do fast. It's not that hard, but the movement just flows really, really well. Except for that, because I do spin. I don't know, I just really like doing this level. Part of that may be nostalgia, because I have a very, very personal connection to Rayman Origins. I don't know, it's one of my favorite platformers of all time. This and Rayman Origins. They're both, like, very dear to my heart. So, you know, it may be some kind of emotional stuff going on there, but I just really like doing this level in this run in particular. That strat with the birds right there has always kind of puzzled me until I very recently figured it out. Oops, that was my first big sloppy mistake, not spinning through the door and just standing there punching like an idiot. That happens in Rayman Origins more frequently. where you want to spin, but he just does a standing punch instead. Standing punch is pretty much like the code word for mess up in the modern Rayman community, I guess. You just say standing punch and the other runner knows exactly what kind of, disappointing feeling you're talking about. But, whatever. Here we don't have to press any of the buttons. That strat I messed up right there, but I recovered it. You can just roll jump through a lot of those. And then, here's the last screen. That's best original score. One of 2 Origins levels. Oh, oops. I accidentally opened a new tab. That actually showed up in the recording. For someone's probably going to freeze frame that and say, ha! You go on Twitter a lot. And, well, yeah. And I go on Reddit a lot, too. So I guess that might explain the seeming inaneness of this comment. Or, not seeming, but complete and total incomprehensibility of this commentary. That, like, explains it all. But this is the second Origins level, Geyser Blast. And this one is the other one that is one of the free levels that got an extra cage added to it ever since the last Rayman Legends run at AGDQ. I don't remember what year it was. I want to say it was AGDQ 2016 that Rayman Legends was last shown off. And this level, along with the 2 others, which were Deadly Lights and Infiltration Station, got an extra teensy to it in order to skip an invasion that, again, was normally done in the old route. So, just getting the teensies as fast as possible. This is the cage that was added. We would usually skip this bonus room, but since this bonus room is rather fast, we eventually timed it so that getting those 3 cages, including this one, is indeed faster than doing the bigger fish invasion in World 4 at the end. This screen is kind of annoying because these water fountains have some funky physics to it. Sometimes you can go right through, sometimes they bounce you really high, but whatever. But that's already at the end of this level, and you can see, like, that's 19 Cs for not very much time at all compared to other levels. And you might be saying, well, Elevator Ambush was a pretty long level. Is there any reason why you did that but not, like, Great Lava Pursuit? Well, I think Elevator Ambush is actually required in order to unlock a bigger fish, which then unlocks World 4 boss. So we have no choice but to do that level. Again, every level that we can reasonably skip, we do. So, now we're going back and doing the invasions. It's going to be invasion time for the rest of the run. And it's pretty much just going for the rest of the worlds. And these invasions, because they're right at the end, and because you have no hearts ever, one hit is death, become pretty nerve-wracking, because the farther you get in an invasion, the higher the risk of death becomes, and the more time you'll lose because of the risk of death. And, thankfully, because of the built-in timer, you can see exactly how much time loss you're gonna get when you die in an invasion. So, that's nice of the game to tell you exactly how much you're losing by being a total failure at video games. Well, not a total failure. I exaggerate this stuff a lot, but these invasions really are hard to do very optimally, and especially at the end of the run, they're very nerve-wracking. This one in particular, I hate this one with a fiery passion, and I will never defend it. This one is horrendous, because like I said, just like Toad's Fly, these platforms are all on independent cycles, and there's projectiles, yeah, see right there, there's projectiles everywhere, they can get in your way, you can get killed very easily. All it takes is one stray bullet or one miscalculation of, your movement spacing, and it's over pretty much. You're dead. There's nothing you can do about it. Just do the invasion again, take the time loss. Because there's no way to recover, like, once something hits you, it's done. You just start over. So, that's fun. This one is a bit of a mess too, because there's the spiky snakes everywhere, and they can be a bit of a But not a bit, it can be a massive nuisance if you are new to this game. Because there's a strat where I'm gonna drop through a pit where a couple of them are like flying around. Right there, if I like go a little bit too far to the left or too far to the right, snake hits me, dead. So, you know. Wonderful time stroll. It's great fun getting to this part with like a really good run of no deaths and then just dying. You know, it's really a great feeling. To, you know, just lose your run to something stupid like that. This one again, platform cycles different every time. No consistent way of ever getting like an optimal time on this one. I mean, they're an optimal time. You just pretty much have to do the best with what you're given, but there's no like way to even guarantee the best pattern. And it's not something that like, okay, bad RNG cost me the run or anything. It's not that extreme, but you know, it's annoying. It's just annoying to deal with. Ow, my ears. Jesus Christ, this headset is really uncomfortable. I know I don't use this thing so frequently now. So, now we're taking a little bit of a break from the invasions. We're going to go to the princess level. We're going to be rescuing a princess. But we're not going to be playing as her, because all she is just, you know, they're just skins for different characters. And, apart from like one or a few examples, different characters aren't faster, so, you know, no point. This is one of the fastest free teensies in the game, as you can see. You're normally supposed to glide down this entire pit, but again, I know where everything is, so I can pretty much just fall through and ignore everything and get the free teensies I need. Then get the heck out, as those young hooligans are saying these days. So, 248 teensies. Now we are only 12 left from the 260 that we need. And unfortunately, there are 4 invasions in World 1 with 3 teensies each. And so that gives us exactly the amount that we need. So, you know, the game is obviously, where the teensy route is set up in a very specific way so that we end up, obviously, with exactly enough that we need by the end. And unlike the old route, this invasion section is going to end in World 1. I'm not going to go do the World 4 invasion, which is Bigger Fish invaded, because, again, I already made up that invasion with the free teensies that we added onto the route, which were Deadly Lights, Infiltration Station, and Geyser Blast. Got a 31 on this invasion, you know, not bad, but it could have been better. Usually a 30 is more of an optimal time on this, to get on this invasion. Alright, now, what is this one? Or Quicksand invaded, right? This one is probably the closest we ever get to, like, a tight window for getting the 40 seconds. Mainly because this level is just so long. But also because, as you can see, the snakes, God, why did it have to be snakes? They have spikes, and their hitboxes are huge, and if you get hit by one, well, tough luck. I was gonna say something else, but then I realized that I can't swear in my in my submission videos for GDQ. Gotta keep it PG-13. So yeah, a 35 on that invasion, you know, not bad. A 33 is possible if I got just a few more spins in there, a few more optimal frame saver strats, I guess. Creepy Castle invaded. This one has underwater movement and has frogs that shoot lasers, aka 2 bad things combined into something, or not combined, combined into something, you know, absolutely horrendous. So right here, the guy tries to shoot me. I get a boost from the surface of the water there by ground pounding and spinning at a very precise moment. Try not to. I go very roundabout, like around these mines, because again, when you spin underwater, you kind of go forward like a torpedo, and there's no real way to change your trajectory until your spin ends. So it's kind of too late if you spin directly into a mine. So I just go around it in a very roundabout way to just, you know, be safe. Now this is the last invasion, it ends where it begins. This is an invasion of the first level, ironically. Or not ironically, I guess it's just a, fun little coincidence that the last main level that you do, it also happens to be, an invasion of the first one. I guess not last main level, because there's still a level that we need to do before we fight the final boss. And that level is very, very cool. I almost tried to do a Billy West Murphy impression there. That would have been very embarrassing. Not that this entire video isn't already, but that would have just been you know what, I'm just gonna stop right there because I was gonna make an analogy that involves not PG-13 humor, so just whatever. Now we have 260 TNTs. We're gonna warp to Hell Breaks Loose. That's actually the name of the level, and it's very appropriate because doing this level fast is hell. Because this is a level where you're intended to wall run the entire way through. And guess what is slow? Wall running. So this is the entire level. Yeah, that's it. Falling and hovering down shafts where you're normally supposed to be going at like less than half the speed that you are falling. I guess that sentence didn't even make sense. You're just supposed to be running normally, but we're gonna fall through it. And pretty much just threading the needle with avoiding these saw blades. That's the setup that I use right there to fall straight down. Again, look, just barely avoiding these walls. And it's not just the saw blades. I have to avoid the walls and the ledges constantly because if I try to hover and I'm next to a wall, I will wall jump and the dragons will kill me. If I'm next to a ledge and I try to hover, I will jump off that ledge and the dragons will kill me. And that entire part is way harder than it looks. But as you can see, it's really sick to see it happen. Right here, I don't have to kill that first dragon because he despawns. I kill that second dragon and I kill this third one. There actually is a way to skip killing that third one, but it only saves, I think, 1 second, and if you mess it up, you lose a minute because the level soft locks and you have to restart. So, that's fun. Another very risk versus reward thing in this game. Save 2 seconds to potentially lose minutes. Nobody goes for it, so obviously it's not a strat. It's just, a possibility if you're feeling really ballsy. Or if your run is dead anyway, so you just want to go for it just to get a gold, maybe. I don't know. So, whatever. Now we're on to the final boss. It's a giant cloud of darkness, and there's 3 phases to it. The first phase is this evil hand, and the hardest part of this evil hand is literally just hitting it, because it's not a sprite, it's not like an object, it's a 3D thing. This may be a 2D platformer, but the boss is in 3D here. It's like a 3D model. It's a 3D cloud of, like, creatures things. And as you can see, I'm failing miserably. And that's my second and last death of the run. Wasted a ton of time by dying here, but, whatever. This first phase is going a lot worse than it normally does in any other run here. There's usually a quick kill that you can try to do that ends this phase in like 5 seconds, but it's very, very finicky to do because, again, the hitboxes are like, I don't know, the hitboxes in this box, on this boss, are all kinds of whacked out. So it's impossible to get like anything remotely consistent when it comes to, taking all the pieces off. That's my last swig of water. My throat is hurting like a something. It's hurting a lot because I've been speaking for an hour and a half straight, but that's the second phase. You pretty much just shoot left and right constantly. The PS4 skipped again. Skipped the video there. But whatever. Now we're moving on to the third and final phase. This phase is the most annoying. And it's really, really, really likely to kill you, especially if you don't have a heart here like me. Fortunately, I didn't die here, but this can be the destroyer of runs if you're not careful, and this is literally the very last thing you have to do. So the strat here is to just charge a punch, or charge a couple of punches, and just, hit him, because it takes off a huge chunk of his health. Or not his health, yeah, it takes a huge chunk of, like, the darkness around him or something. If you play your cards right, you can get a 2-cycle on this fight, which means killing him before he goes in a circle like twice. There I got like a 2.5 cycle. That was a really janky fight. But that's the final boss. It's a pretty disappointing final boss, but honestly, it's already like a pretty BS boss, so I'm not complaining that much since the run is pretty much over. And the timer stops right here. Time. And with that ends Rayman Legends 80%. A very cool run for very cool people. Just kidding. But yeah, that's Rayman Legends 80%. 2D platformer, everybody's favorite limbless hero, with a lot of crazy movement tech, a lot of, really cool strats, silly strats, a lot of potential for deaths maybe, but a lot of potential for improv, for showing off, like, because, a lot of this game, of being able to be good at this game in terms of speedrunning it, is just, you know, being able to improvise, and it's from runner to runner. It depends. A lot of strats are up to runner preference, and so it's interesting when you look at other runs to see just how every runner varies individually, even when their times are pretty close together. So I don't know. It's just something neat to consider. So again, thank you a lot to the games committee for considering my submission. Thank you for watching this all the way through. I really cannot thank you enough. You guys are doing a great job, and I don't know. We'll see what happens. So this is me signing off yet again.